Happy Tuesday. I'm the Gray Strega, and I'm here to give you your daily collective read for today, Tuesday, December 12th, 2023. What do we have coming through in the cards for today? May I please have the first 5 cards in our 5-card spread? First card we are starting our day off with today, 6 of Cups in its reversal. Not surprised to see this, my friends. What did I say is going on right now for the energy of divine union? Navigating situations and circumstances in relation to outside energy, situations that need some level or degree of karmic healing brought into them. This is going to feel like family, friends, relationships. This is a point. This is like the retrograde right now. One of the things that we notice for the energy in divine union, the energy in divine union's already done a lot of the heavy lifting already, a little early and in anticipation of the divine union itself. That clearing out is almost allowing, that pre-preparation, if you will, is almost allowing right now the energy of the divine union to put their full care, capacity, and attention on the energy surrounding the divine unions themselves to build points of easement in anything that requires that level or degree of easement. And it is taking discernment right now from the energy in divine union to isolate and identify if these are circumstances and situations that can have an ability to heal, or if there is something here that just has to be accepted for what it is. Masculine and feminine energy right now that's coming into divine union. This is the outside energy that you may be feeling was putting some weight or some cynicism on the divine union forming. Again, if you are navigating this, if you stayed in the vibration of divine union, even through some of the hurdles, the cynicism, the disappointment, the challenges that were being experienced on the part of the divine union as it was being formed, this is now moving you right into that same energy that we see that the energy that's been in divine union is in, which is looking at these and addressing these and asking oneself if these points of cynicism are points that can heal, or if they just need to be left on the wayside as the divine union continues to form. Feminine and masculine that are in separation over this is what we see that the crux is. And for masculine and feminine right now, in this point of separation, we see that this could even be feeling like there is something indicative of the separation right now that almost feels amplified, because it's not just the fact that you may be feeling like you are in separation from some energy, but it may be feeling like the energy around you right now is encouraging that separation stay separated. Feminine energy, again, looking at some circumstance and situation around a masculine almost with a point of frustration, because we are seeing here that this is potentially even feminine coming into a point of observation, that this masculine energy that may have separated from them at this time feels like they're doing so from a point of personal autonomy, but the feminine isn't seeing it like that. The feminine is instead seeing a masculine energy that they feel is too easily led by the energy around them right now, because this is a feminine energy that feels like they saw visible indications of this masculine energy desiring to come into divine union with the feminine. And this is feminine almost utilizing their intuition. And I'm recognizing that if this is a masculine that was pulled away from them at a moment when the divine union was forming, it has to do with some of the outside energy around them having too much of a sway on their own desires. Masculine in separation right now, this could be a moment that you are now desiring to come back into union with feminine energy, but now it is that moment of optics in terms of potentially feeling like a lot of the energy around you right now isn't necessarily inclined to do so, because again, we see here that this was masculine energy that was pulled away from a divine union possibility due to outside influences having more leverage than the energy that was being created in the divine union itself. A lot of addressing right now prior to the divine, for all energies right now, as it relates to the energy surrounding situations and circumstances. We like to see this new moon in Sagittarius energy coming in right now, because this is that identification point about whether these are situations and circumstances that can come through a point of healing due to new approaches, due to unconventional methods, or if this is something that just needs to be left behind as you continue forward from this point. Second card in our 5-card spread for today is, we have here the Tower. Not surprised to see it, guys. We've got that retrograde starting. Masculine and feminine. coming that are in divine union. This is why we see that the energy right now is so conscientious around almost the spiritual and emotional hygiene of the energy surrounding the divine union itself. Because what are we effectively seeing is happening at this time? Masculine and feminine energy in divine union have been doing so much positive work on their own connectivity that they want to effectively amplify that in the energy that's surrounding them at this time. I even articulated that for a lot of the energy in divine union right now, there could be a feeling of others approaching you in a point of crisis, having these hurdles, having these difficulties, asking for some level of degree of advice, support, as they go through their own points of crisis. And it may have a lot to do with unhealed karmic situations and circumstances. This could be unhealthy relationships. This could be unhealed family situations. This could be friendships that are in need of some kind of crisis abetting. Now, for masculine and feminine in this modality right now, this is observing the problem in the face. We appreciate this for the energy in the divine union because this is masculine and feminine, not turning away from a problem, but almost walking towards it to really almost assess what needs to be repaired versus what cannot be repaired. This is what we see that the divine union energy is doing right now. But there is almost this point of observation that's being recognized in terms of the limitation of how much masculine and feminine in divine union can help to create support versus what the energy outside the divine union needs to do in their own lives to allow and facilitate for that healing to come in. Because this is almost a masculine and feminine that is being approached to have these lessons implemented, but almost recognizing that the masculine and feminine divine union cannot do the healing for the energy outside of it. They need to either be able to grasp it or they can't. Masculine and feminine trying to come into divine union right now, the formation of the divine union almost feels like it's creating some points potentially of crisis in some of the energy around you at this time. And we are almost seeing that, much like we are recognizing with the energy that's already in the divine union frequency, there is this point of observation in terms of effectively it's going to kind of interpret as what feels like it's your problem versus what is someone else's problem. This is, again, much like we said for the energy that's already in divine union, this feeling of others potentially feeling like they're bringing their own sense of crisis to the door of the energy of the divine union forming right now. And we are seeing that this is a moment that masculine and feminine, if the divine union is forming, it's a bit of that outside in approach in terms of observing some outside energy right now and trying to ascertain and decide if the concerns are valid, if this is something that needs to be navigated and mitigated, because these concerns right now aren't necessarily in what the energy around them is saying about the divine union itself, but more this feeling of the energy trying to put weight on the divine union that is really trying to ascertain if this is a healable moment or if the formation of the divine union is creating rifts that cannot effectively be healed with the formation of the union coming into play. Masculine and feminine in separation right now, this is why we see that the feminine is potentially feeling a lot of frustration right now, even as it relates, and even if these are circumstances and situations from the past right now, because this point of observation that feminine's making right now as it relates to some kind of divine union that almost formed around the feminine, it's almost feeling like almost criminal to a certain extent. That's how almost the feminine energy and separation is feeling right now, because this is feminine that's feeling like there was some kind of possibility or some kind of bond that they had with some energy that wasn't even a completely destroyed or dissolved due to the energies at play, but more of the outside influences putting their own touch on it, that may be feeling right now for the feminine like a lot of that frustration or sense of crisis rising up, because this is a feminine almost again feeling the weight of something that they can't necessarily change because the energy itself was so easily influenced by the energy surrounding them. For feminine going through this in separation right now, this is almost that moment that we see that this is feminine that is almost like completely like walking away from something right now, because it's almost this moment of feeling the anxiety of weight, of feeling like there's something that you feel forced to move away from because there's nothing that you can do. Because almost being able to come into a state or space of defending oneself or trying to come into the defense of oneself feels like it would just feed into the crisis that someone else is potentially creating. Masculine in separation right now, this could be feeling a lot of that point of crisis right now, either something that just recently happened or something that you are having a recollection on in the past as it relates to a divine union that you're now seeing with new optics, something that almost came into being and almost formed, but the outside energy around you at that time effectively created a crash point. It created a point of crisis, potentially following the wrong advice, potentially following the wrong guidance. And for the masculine energy going through this right now at a point of separation, it could be feeling like a lot of anxiety or points of healing that are required for some of the energy around you at this time, because again, it is that furthering of the question about whether that point, whether that choice that you made was actually influenced by energy that feels like they were actually looking out for your own best interest, or if they were almost seeking out something that served their own purposes. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now, third card in our 5-card spread for today is, what did I say? 3 of Cups in its reversal. A lot of energy right now being paid towards energy outside of the divine unions. Masculine and feminine right now, there is this point of observation that we're potentially reaching. All of the energy right now as it relates to the divine union is very much being paid towards energy connected outside of the union itself. And we are seeing here that for the energy and divine partnership, there's simply this point of observing what feels like it can move into a healing vibration versus what cannot. What is masculine and feminine doing right now as it relates to some of the energy around them right now in relation to the divine union? They are observing whether the energy itself is in the same vibration of desiring healing. There's a lot of this point of observation right now that masculine and feminine, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to, is doing in assessing some of these problems, some of these difficulties, some of these hurdles, unpacking them together in divine union to really ascertain and feel like, does something have the ability to heal? Is the energy itself in the right frequency to be able to do it? Or is it feeling like almost something in alignment of a lost cause, if you will? This is almost that observation point that feels potentially bittersweet around some of the energy in divine union in terms of the desire to want to repair some bonds, but almost recognizing that one's own personal desire is only half of the job. The other half is the energy itself on the other side of that connection, similarly desiring to come in out of the cold or come into that point of healing. And that is feeling like a bit of that difficulty point right now, because the masculine and feminine divine union right now are trying to ascertain if that is the case. Masculine and feminine coming into divine union right now. This is that same exact moment. You're in the same exact frequency now, if you've gone this far, that the energy that we see in divine union is also encountering. The problem here is this is going to feel much more targeted at the formation of the divine union itself, because this is, again, almost masculine and feminine feeling like they're averting some sense of crisis right now in the forming of the divine union that was effectively implemented by outside energy trying to put leverage or pressure on the formation of the union itself. And this is that point of observation, much like we saw for the energy already in the divine union frequency, in ascertaining if this was just a momentary faux pas, if this was just a momentary incidental situation, or if this choice to put that kind of leverage on the union speaks to something deeper as it relates to something that needs to be healed. Masculine and feminine in separation right now. This is the feminine energy feeling the full weight of this, especially if this is something that recently happened. If this is a feminine energy that feels like they got very close to divine union forming, but again, seeing masculine energy being influenced away from the feminine at the moment that the divine union's forming, this is feeling like a point of like deep crisis for the feminine, because again, it's almost amplifying to the point that the feminine feels like there is very little that they can do to adjust for it. There's literally a feeling the crisis itself is recognizing that there's nothing that the feminine can say or do at this time to resolve this, because anything that they recognize that they say will just feed into the negative energy surrounding the divine union that's pulling it apart in the first place. It's almost this moment that is coming through right now, feminine, again, looking at something and saying the only thing I can do is walk away from something, because the masculine energy is so easily influenced by the energy surrounding them that they don't even necessarily see what is occurring. Masculine energy In separation right now, this is potentially a moment that feels like there is a lot of recalibration as it relates to the energy surrounding you at this time, or even a point of observation in terms of what energy around you said or did that influenced you to make the choices that you made leading up until this point, that may be feeling like a moment of personal crisis. Because we see here that there's something that's coming through about the masculine energy, not like feeling like you made a choice that you thought was a point of autonomy that you were making, that you're now recognizing and feeling was something that was more influenced by the energy around you at this time. But again, this point of recognition is a benefit, because something that is observable is something that can be changed. Masculine and feminine. Masculine going through this right now, again, it's giving a lot of that dark night of the soul to a certain extent, but it is allowing for a point of transformation, because it's something observable that you're seeing in energy surrounding you that's almost reaffirming your own commitment in the changes that you've made in your own self. It could almost be a point of observation as well for a lot of masculine energy and separation right now in just how much you've changed, because your own desires are not effectively on the outside of something, but more looking right now in terms of feeling like some of the energy that you kept towards you at this time removed or created a hurdle that has now created a moment of an unhealed karmic energy that you have a lot of attention and care towards. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now. Fourth card in our 5-card spread for today is Two of Wands. What is the solution when we have problems and we're trying to ascertain what we need to do about them? When we're looking at energy right now to try to figure out if something can be healed or whether something needs to be moved away from. Communication, 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 communication. And when you're done with that communication, maybe just a little bit more communication. Masculine and feminine. In this modality right now, they're implementing communication between themselves at this time, but also in the energy around and surrounding the divine union to try to see if that point of healing is even possible right now. Again, it is this point of observation that we're effectively seeing at this time, where masculine and feminine are implementing a lot of this time leading up to the Mercury retrograde, allowing this new moon and Sagittarius energy to come to the surface right now, that is effectively allowing them to ascertain whether these feel like the energies around them are also in a point of wanting to mend fences, wanting to build bridges, or if these are things that just need to be left alone, if you will. And especially, I will point out right now, this is going to be feeling like it's coming through very heavily for the masculine energy, which is very intriguing. We would typically expect this from more of the feminine energy, but that is not the case right now, because the masculine energy's own desire right now to heal is coming from their own healing. Especially if you're a masculine energy right now that is trying to build these points or have these fences or looking at things right now and wanting to communicate on something, we see that it is a sign of how much growth that you've made up until this point, because it is looking at something right now and saying to oneself that you now recognize that something that you've said is different than what you may have said at the time that created some of these unhealed connections. Feminine energy, interestingly enough, is almost in that opposite modality right now as it relates to divine union, which is feminine almost recognizing their own ability of doing that too greatly may have caused some of these rifts in the first place. And we see here that this is a feminine that is almost employing strong boundaries as well as it relates to what they're communicating at this time. So masculine and feminine in divine union are almost doing reverse work right now. Masculine employing more of that emotionality, feminine employing more of those strong boundaries. But this is how we see that both energies are allowing the space and capacity for the other one to heal and learn even as they're going through these processes. Masculine and feminine that are coming into the divine union frequency, the divine unions that are just coming into formation, that have almost been solidified by some of this negative energy that was being directed towards the formation of the divine union itself. If masculine didn't effectively take the bait, if held forth and continue to create the divine union that they were seeking in this time, now is a moment of trying to communicate about some of the energy that may have tried to pull that divine union apart. This is almost that moment of, again, much like we see for the energy in divine union right now, that point of observation in terms of asking oneself if someone's intentions were pure, or which would allow for something to be healed, or if it felt like someone was trying to do something that felt like it was specifically only to their own needs and their own desires. And masculine and feminine are, again, much like the energy in divine union right now, having that point of articulation and clarification to try to ascertain what they feel is something that can be healed versus something that just needs to be left alone or walked away from, just like foregone in the formation of the divine union itself. It's going to feel a little bit heavier right now, specifically due to the fact that for the energy experiencing this at the moment that the divine union's forming, it doesn't feel so much like someone bringing their own problems to the door, so much as someone trying to literally dismantle a divine union that is being created at this time. Feminine energy in separation right now. There may be a deep, deep desire to try to articulate and amplify to a masculine that this is something that occurred. This is a feminine energy that if this is occurring right now, it is a point of desiring to communicate, but potentially feeling like there is nothing that one can communicate. It's like watching a disaster from far away. Feminine energy, in a way, if they're seeing or experiencing this right now, this is feminine almost just walking away from the blast radius. This is feminine energies just moving away from something, seeing a masculine that they care about, effectively allowing themselves to get carried away by this like throng of energy that's trying to pull them out of divine union, and feminine effectively feeling powerless to stop it, because again, anything the feminine feels that they're amplifying or saying to the masculine that's letting themselves be pulled away by this sphere of influence around them that doesn't want or desire them to be in divine union. Feminine almost feels like their hands are tied. They feel like they can only watch, because anything they say feels like it further amplifies whatever is being articulated to the masculine that's getting them in this vibration in the first place. Masculine energy and separation right now, this is potentially getting optics on something that happened that you didn't necessarily see from this perspective before. Masculine energy, you've done enough growing at this time that you're seeing things from a little bit of a perspective. You're taking a little bit of a long view right now. Masculine is going to feel like a little bit of a bird's eye view on your own life at this time. And it may be creating this point of optics in terms of seeing something in a way that you didn't see it before. And unfortunately, some of it has to potentially do with some of the energy that was around you at a time that a crisis was occurring that is giving you some different frame of reference that you may not have had before. Continuing to get clarification on and what you would effectively do about it from this moment is that point of understanding. It is that point of clarity, because again, something that is seen is something that can be avoided moving forward. We've got two cards coming out for the next fifth card, and they're both transverse right now. That makes sense. We've got here our Five of Wands in combination with our Hermit in its transverse. What do you do? What do you do? Masculine and feminine energy that's in divine union and partnership right now. This is that point of observation as it relates to any sense of crisis surrounding the partnership itself right now. We're seeing here for the energy that's been in the divine union frequency or deep in the heart of it. This is almost that moment of feeling that need or desire to want to address some situations and circumstances surrounding the divine union vibration right now. The problem we're effectively seeing right now is, again, it takes two to tango. Masculine and feminine can't just fix something right now unless they feel like the energy connected to circumstances and situations is also in that vibration of wanting to heal. Masculine and feminine are trying to use their powers of communication and observation to see if these are bridges that can be mended or fences that can be mended, or if there are things here that just are going to continue on in that state of flux. And this is why we see that the divine union energy doesn't like to keep things in this way, because it doesn't feel like there's closure around some circumstances or situations around the divine union so much as it almost feels like a stalemate, or some feelings of something being caught in limbo or stasis. This is almost creating a sense right now. Again, the divine union energy is moving right now at such a positive frequency that seeing energy that feels like it is stagnant or static, that it's not going anywhere, is almost becoming more of a pronounced problem internally for the energy in the divine union, because that point of stagnation as it relates to some circumstances, even not even in the connection itself, but surrounding the partnership, it's almost like the energy of the divine union is so positive, it's amplifying anything that isn't moving in that direction, which is why there is this like capacity or desire to want to put some effort here just to see if something has to remain in that point of stasis, or if it can move into a better state of healing or closure. And we effectively see at this time, that is what the divine union energy is doing and trying to identify and articulate that right now. Masculine and feminine energy right now, if you're coming into divine union, you're doing the same exact work. It's just going to feel like the stakes are a lot higher right now, because what we're effectively identifying is this doesn't feel like, this isn't long-standing issues. This isn't long-standing grudges. This isn't unhealed stuff from the past. This is stuff that just directly feels like it was some kind of assault on the divine union forming. It feels much more intentional. It feels much more targeted, because the energy itself that you're addressing feels like it was trying, or it has some point of conflict around the formation of the divine union frequency, or coming into that right now. Masculine and feminine in this modality right now, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. This is that point of observation as it relates to whether you do something about it or whether you leave it alone. It's literally looking at something right now and saying, is this something that you want to take up a cause for? Is this something that you feel is going to come into a point of healing? And what we're almost seeing right now is the masculine and feminine energy coming into divine union right now. There's almost this point of observation that you're reaching in terms of recognizing and looking at something, and again, potentially not even bringing up that one sees this. This could be masculine and feminine energy just abandoning and walking away from some things right now, and recognizing that they're choosing the divine union over any energy that feels like it is too antithetical or oppositional to the formation of the divine union occurring. It's almost like having that point and saying, like, it's not even a point of arguing about it. It's just something that needs to be accepted. Feminine and masculine, feminine in separation right now. This is why we see that while the feminine may be going through a period right now of recalling circumstances and incidents wherein this happened, and either this is something from the past that the feminine is feeling is already rising back up in the wake of the retrograde coming in, or this is something that just recently is happening or currently happening around the feminine. It is feeling very frustrating, because the crisis point for the feminine experiencing this right now is the fact that it does feel in some way, shape, or form that it effectually renders them powerless. The feminine is almost in a moment where they're seeing someone being pulled away from them that they almost had divine union with due to outside opinion, even against what feminine recognizes was the true intention and desire of the masculine energy at play there. But feminine feeling like, again, like I can't help you if you're going to let yourself be pulled away by the crowd that easily. The feminine's almost having this point of amplification and recognizing that if a masculine energy can't observe that this is happening, then nothing that the feminine says is going to get the masculine into that modality or perspective, because the masculine needs to see it that way. Feminine can't tell them. Feminine, that's creating that point right now that could be that stagnancy and seeing this occurring right now and feeling powerless to stop it, or having gone through experiences that feel like they're triggering today as you remember moments where this occurred. For a lot of energy right now, even coming into the divine union frequency, there may be something that is happening here that is feeling very triggering. I need to stress that for the energy coming into divine union right now, it could be triggering because you could be experiencing this right now and remembering a time that this actually rendered the divine union that you are moving into completely void. This is almost that moment that we see a lot of the energy right now actually coming into divine union, because this is masculine and feminine. Masculine seeing this and being like, I've had this happen before. This feels familiar. This is happening again. Oh my goodness, I see what's happening now. That is almost what's amplifying the fact that some of this divine energy is not necessarily falling for that and moving into the strength of the divine union. Masculine, if in separation right now, this is that point of optics that this may have potentially happened before. And the problem about this, especially if this is happening right now, is masculine. If this has occurred, it's already occurred. If you're seeing this right now and you're in separation, it's already happened. So it may be creating that space or place of feeling like you're seeing something from an optics that you couldn't see something before. And it's feeling a little too late because you already made that choice. You can see the choice that you made. The problem is you already made it. So again, going through that moment, having that point right now is, again, amplifying one's own sense of self and understanding, but almost also feeling to a certain extent like this is a very heavy lesson, because you can't go back to the past and change one's own actions. You can just observe what you've done in the past that is going to reinforce what you're going to do differently in the future. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Six of Cups in its reversal in combination with our Tower. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with our Eight of Pentacles in its reversal. Masculine and feminine, I told you, there's almost like a binary point of view that the energy is taking right now as it relates to any of the energy surrounding the divine union. It's either working or it's not. It's either happening or it's not happening. It's either going to feel productive or it's not going to be productive. Masculine and feminine right now are, again, not necessarily observing so much whether the problems or the crises that are coming to the doorstep of the divine unions are some things that the masculine and feminine are going to be able to want to affect. Masculine and feminine divine union want to be able to address and to help and to heal and to build around the energy and to build that point of healing and let that go forward from them at this time. But masculine and feminine energy in divine union recognize that there is a limitation in terms of what they can effectively do versus the energy coming towards them and their own ability to implement these things. Masculine and feminine are, again, almost giving that point of articulation in terms of any energy that's bringing these difficulties to them to amplify what is and is not in the power of the divine union to be able to heal. And it starts with whether the energy is in a modality wherein they're willing to do that work for themselves to a certain extent. Masculine and feminine are utilizing that, if in the divine union frequency right now, as their point of optics. Does the energy around them, if there's a point of crisis here, recognize the changes that they need to implement in their own life to allow this to be able to come into a point of healing? Masculine and feminine are basically trying to discern that right now. Masculine and feminine that are trying to come into the divine union, this is trying to ascertain that if someone said something or did something that feels like it was trying to pull the divine union apart, this is all about trying to understand and articulate whether that was something that was done inadvertently and that thereby being a point to be able to heal, or if it feels like it was intentional, or if it feels like there's something deeper at the heart of it right now. And it's that moment that's coming in right now for the energy of the divine union forming that's almost feeling like a little bit of a crisis aversion. That's why we see that this is either a moment in amplifying something and recognizing energy that feels like this was a momentary setback, something that can heal, versus something that might just need to be walked away from because whatever was said and done trying to remove that divine union from forming was too egregious to be able to allow for that point of healing. Feminine energy right now, if in separation, this is that observation on why something did not work. This is almost that observation on why feminine is not going back to fix anything, because this is the feminine energy saying that it's not in the feminine energy's power to fix something if masculine energy is so easily influenced by the energy around them that it could create a state of crisis in the divine union, basically like, dissolving or falling apart. This is feminine almost, again, healing their own karmic journey by observing that if that was effectively what happened, the feminine is effectively powerless to stop it. And it's almost amplifying the fact that there would be no hope in going forward if the masculine's in that modality. Masculine energy, if in separation right now, this is feeling that same exact thing. You are matching. You are mirroring the feminine in separation right now. You are also seeing something from the same optics that the feminine saw it. The feminine's own perception right now is almost like being gifted to you to a certain extent, and it's helping build a sense of clarity for you. The problem here is this crisis has already occurred if you are in separation. It's already happened. And that is that moment of masculine looking at something right now, feeling the unhealed karmic connection that occurred in the moment that masculine allowed themselves to be pulled away by outside opinion from a feminine. And this is that moment in terms of feeling the amplitude in a crisis that already occurred that may have distanced a feminine from a masculine, but almost feeling that sense of powerlessness because it already happened. And now you are seeing it, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you can stop it. It's just something that you can navigate and recognize going forward. And it is going to require a level of degree of accountability. But the accountability is starting within the self. What we appreciate about masculine in this modality right now, this isn't almost an accountability and saying, I know I need to tell someone that I'm accountable. This is seeing one's own self and recognizing and saying, never again will I let that happen. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Tower in combination with our Three of Cups in its reversal. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with our Justice in its reversal. This is heavy. This is some heavy energy. It feels very unfair. There's a feeling of unfairness here. Masculine and feminine in divine union right now. One of the things that we're effectively seeing is, again, this is almost coming through to a certain extent in terms of masculine and feminine. And I have to stress, even for the energy right now in divine union and partnership, it could be seeing and experiencing some situations outside of the partnership where energy is going through some very difficult hurdles. And masculine and feminine wanting to come in and create some point of assistance, but almost feeling a level or degree of powerlessness to be able to do so. Masculine and feminine are looking at something right now, even outside of the divine union, and almost ascertaining what they can actually heal versus what someone else's responsibility is to heal it. It's only one part of the connection. And masculine and feminine are almost ascertaining today that there may be some situations surrounding the divine union that they hope to bring into a point of healing. But if that connectivity point is there, if that energy doesn't want to do so, then that's effectively just something that needs to be accepted going forward. But it does even feel like, for a lot of the energy in this modality, that it is a hard thing to accept, because it doesn't feel like the masculine and feminine can fully bring that balance into play. But almost that point of recognition that, like, they themselves, you cannot force healing on energy that does not desire to be healed. Right? That's almost what we're seeing that the energy in divine union is navigating right now. Masculine and feminine coming into divine union right now. This is that point of observation in terms of identifying what feels like it can be healed, what was just an innocent mistake, versus something that is that point of observation, feeling like there's a bridge that's been crossed that's too far, that may need to resolve into like complete separation from some energy right now in the wake of a divine union forming. We're seeing here some pressure was put on the divine union. Masculine and feminine potentially coming into divine union right now have been triggered by past circumstances or situations where they've seen the same occur. That is why we see that for the energy coming into divine union right now, there's a lot of communication effectively happening as it relates to any energy that feels like it was trying to pull a divine union apart, to really ask, was this something that was done innocuously? Was this something that was not necessarily had some kind of deeper intent on it? Was it a harmless statement? Was it a harmless comment? Or was there something more latent there that needs to just be avoided going forward? So there may be some energy right now that is dissolving away from a divine union for the sake of the preservation of the divine union, especially if that energy feels like it was oppositional to the divine union of forming. Feminine energy in separation right now. This is feeling the full weight of unfairness around some situations and circumstances where you feel that this may have happened. It's, again, that feeling of powerlessness, though, for the feminine in seeing something that occurred the way that it occurred, feeling that point of validation on it, but feeling, again, that there's not something that you can fix because nothing you say can effectively fix it, because the circumstance is one that, like, it almost feeds into whatever that negativity is. So for feminine right now, it's almost that feeling of deep injustice coming into circumstances and situations right now, and it's not even connected to the energy itself that you may feel separate from. It feels like the energy surrounding that particular energy is such that it's almost like pushing, like keeping, like creating this like impossibility factor, because unless that energy recognizes it and moves towards you, there's nothing that you can do to amend or to stop that. Masculine in separation right now, this could be feeling like a great injustice was done to you that you didn't even recognize at the time. This could be a moment of identifying and feeling like there was something that you made a choice on by your own power of autonomy, that you now are suddenly looking at a lot of the energy around you at that time and feeling in a way that you did not see something or recognize something as it was happening. And this is that moment that may be feeling dual purpose, because you're feeling, again, the weight of a divine union that may have been taken from you at the last moment, and also potentially feeling some weight of powerlessness that it wasn't necessarily entirely your own desire that caused it to do so. Your own ability to be influenced by the surrounding energy may have also had a hand or stake in that is almost amplifying to masculine in this modality, something that feels like a wrong that you would desire to correct for. And masculine, you're either going to take that right now and implement changes in your own life to avoid that happening again, or you are moving towards the energy that occurred on to have a point of observation and articulate that occurred. The problem with the masculine energy that's experiencing this right now is almost realizing and recognizing that even amplifying the fact that happened doesn't feel like it is something that feels like it brings peace to something. It is almost something that the energy tried to amplify to you that you would not see at the time. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our 3 of Cups in its reversal in combination with our 2 of Wands. May I please have 1 card to clarify? 2 cards clarifying. Wow, and boy are they 2 cards. We've got here, it makes perfect sense, our Page of Pentacles in combination with our Knight of Cups in its reversal. So again, what did we say is happening for the energy right now? In divine union and partnership. Masculine and feminine right now are observing anything that feels like it is unhealed surrounding the divine union to ascertain whether there are new productive solutions that can be brought forth given the amount of growth that's occurred due to the healing in the divine union itself, or if the outside energy is not amenable to healing in the same capacity. This is almost masculine and feminine extending that olive branch, if you will, if in the divine union vibration right now, to almost identify and recognize if there is this feeling of something that can effectively be healed here. Or if this is just amplifying that the same vibrational energy around circumstances and situations is not amenable to coming into that healing vibration. And for masculine and feminine energy right now that's in divine union, this is effectively almost recognizing your own limitation in terms of where you're meeting energy outside the union and recognizing that you just have to accept where you find them at this time. The personal growth in the union is allowing for some of this healing. It's allowing for some of this accountability. It's allowing for wanting to build bridges and mend fences right now. The deeper question is if the person on the other side of those unhealed connections is amenable to doing so, or if they are resistant, if there's still something here that they're not amenable to that same vibration of healing. Masculine and feminine coming into the divine union frequency right now. This is, again, the conversation that you are potentially having if you made it through that gauntlet of energy around the divine union, trying to potentially pull it apart at this time, in terms of ascertaining and deciding if that was something that was intentional, if someone had the best intentions in terms of what they were saying, or if someone had something deeper at the heart of it that cannot necessarily be forgiven or navigated at this time. And this is effectively almost amplifying right now how you are communicating about some of that unhealthy energy that feels like it was trying to move against the divine union forming. Masculine and feminine in separation right now, this is basically this is a reflection point. For the energy in this modality right now that's going through this at this time, what we are effectively seeing is feminine. This is that point of feminine feeling almost right now. Like feminine tried to show this to the masculine. The feminine may have even tried to a certain extent, not even to say it is what we're seeing. This is almost feminine, almost having tried to show masculine in some way, shape, or form what is happening. Because again, it's almost that feeling of optics in terms of the masculine not being willing to hear it. Again, it's that feeling of frustration with the masculine because feminine is almost feeling this point of observation in recognizing that if the masculine's emotionality was being pulled away by the energy around them, there's almost nothing that the feminine can do or say that is going to be amenable to the masculine, because it's like the masculine's drinking the Kool-Aid, if you will, on whatever they're being told by the energy around them at this time, regardless of whether the feminine feels like that energy is truly looking out for the masculine's best interest or serving their own needs and their own devices by having the masculine stay in separation. We're even seeing here, this is masculine energy just immediately moving on right now, potentially even allowing new opportunities to come forward. This is what we're almost seeing right now. We're potentially even seeing right now that this is a lot of feminine energy and separation articulating to new masculine energy that this effectively happened. This is almost feminine retelling their own story. If this is feminine in separation right now, this is almost the feminine retelling that story to new masculine energy that is approaching the feminine to help amplify and explain something that occurred around them in the past that's left them in this space or place that they find themselves in a point of separation, or not even separation right now, but at that point of autonomy. Masculine may almost be amplifying to the feminine, again, if this is new masculine energy, a point of saying, I know all about that. That potentially happened to me. Maybe not necessarily revealing to the feminine that that effectively occurred, but almost feeling and understanding on a deep level, if this is new feminine energy that masculine's talking to, that something that the feminine is telling them feels all too familiar. Because this is a feminine masculine in separation that is getting a point of clarity on their own experience that is potentially being imparted to them by outside energy. So again, if you're a masculine in separation, something about this is potentially being amplified by someone telling you that this happened to them, and suddenly realizing that the same exact thing happened to you, but you didn't necessarily experience or see it as such at the time that it was occurring. So for masculine, this could be feeling like a point of like ironic double whammy right now, because this could almost be someone telling you their story. This could almost be a feminine telling you their story and feeling that like crippling deja vu of something that occurred to you that you're suddenly realizing and seeing from a perception that you didn't necessarily see as clearly in the past. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Two of Wands in combination with our Five of Wands in its transverse, in combination with our Hermit in its transverse. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with our Empress energy. So we like this. This is good. This is good. Masculine and feminine energy in divine union. This is what is allowing for this breakthrough point. Why is masculine energy in this moment of emotional balance, if in divine union right now? Because there's a feminine bringing it out in them. There's a feminine that is bringing it out in them. The divine union itself, the masculine energy, this is really coming through. What's interesting about this is masculine really trying to do a lot of this work in mending fences right now. This is heavy on masculine doing what we would often anticipate is the work of the feminine. Bearing in mind, this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. Because what we're effectively seeing right now is this is a masculine energy that's learning to balance and open up about their own emotionality. Why? Because there's a feminine energy that is feeling safe, that they've created a safe space for, that is creating a place or space where the feminine feels open and expressive to be their most abundant, to be their most emotionally open. And it's almost having a like immediate impact on the masculine. It's like a feminine energy's own self-love is contagious to the masculine energy. It's putting masculine in that same vibration and wanting to heal, in wanting to just generate and grow that sense of love and care around things. And it's almost like the feminine, this is why we see that the feminine isn't as active in this role right now, because feminine is just vibing. That's why feminine's utilizing this more about boundaries, because feminine's more vibing in this space or place they find themselves in, because they're feeling that level or degree of strength and security in the divine union vibration. Masculine, what have I been telling you about the masculine energy having that hammer and needing to find a nail? Masculine energy is almost like, I'm feeling the love. I need to find something to fix with this love. This is literally masculine being like, I need to find something to fix with this love. This is masculine taking that loving vibration and trying to turn it into a hammer and being like, oh, I know what to do with this love. I'm going to fix all the things that need me to fix it with this love. Okay? But more than that, it's almost this observation that masculine's having that like that only can go halfway. If the energy around them doesn't want to meet them in that way, masculine can't necessarily fix something. They just have to kind of leave it where it is. But masculine's trying, which is appreciated, okay? Feminine is almost looking at masculine right now and almost seeing the masculine in this vibration and saying almost more of this, like, if they want to feel it, they'll heal it. This is feminine taking the lesson of the masculine into play as it relates to boundaries. This is feminine saying, like, no, I feel that same stagnancy here. If they want to feel it, they can heal it. I'll be right here. They know my door's open. This is almost feminine saying, they know my door's open. If they want to heal it, they know where to find me. So this is very interesting because even in divine union right now, feminine is not necessarily taking the role we would typically anticipate with this. Feminine isn't chasing to heal this right now. Feminine's laying back and saying, like, they can come to us when they're ready. Masculine and feminine coming into divine union. This is why the feminine energy doesn't want to take action on this, because this is feminine that saw this coming from a mile away. This is feminine energy looking at something right now, and masculine's trying to ascertain the intentionality of some of the energy that was putting pressure on the divine union. Feminine saying, I don't need an explanation. I know exactly what they were trying to do. Feminine saying, almost saying in divine union right now, I don't need to, I know everything I need to know about it. Because why? Feminine understands love. Feminine understands that love is a threat to outside energy. It doesn't necessarily move in the direction the energy wants it to. Feminine's like, we don't need explanation. They've shown us through their actions how they feel about the divine union. Masculine's more like, no, I want to see if this is something I can be fixed. Maybe they didn't mean it that way. Feminine's like, oh, yes, they did. Oh, yes, they did, right? So this is going to potentially be the only like oppositional point right now for the energy coming into the divine union frequency, because masculine's almost like, I need to get to the bottom on why someone said that about us coming together in this way. And feminine's like, no, you don't. Or not. Or we could just leave it. Determining what to do in this modality right now is going to be the challenge zone for the energy trying to stay in the divine union frequency. Masculine and feminine in separation right now. This is why feminine's leaving themselves open to new opportunities. And this is why feminine is getting a little bit titchy about this, because we're almost seeing right now that this is feminine energy that is telling other masculine energy that this happened. This is feminine almost articulating and amplifying to the masculine, to new masculine energy, how they saw something happening around a masculine that they almost came into divine union in, that the masculine themselves could not recognize and see. But the funny thing is the feminine potentially saying that right now to separated masculines doesn't realize that they're creating a point of revelation to the masculine energy in that modality, in seeing something that happened to them that they did not see in that way when it was occurring. This is a feminine energy that doesn't even realize what they're doing in this way. This is feminine energy that's almost just telling their love story. They're telling their old love story, and masculine almost having this like moment as they hear it from another feminine energy and suddenly recognizing that energy as their own. I told you the energy in separation right now is reflecting each other. Continuing to get clarification. But this is also a positive, because we see here that this is feminine energy that's making peace with it, because feminine energy is recognizing that this isn't for a lack of their own desire. This is a feminine saying, what I've done once, I can do again. That was not a failure on my part to create the divine, get into the divine union frequency. That was a failure of an energy not able to maintain it, not able to have the strength to maintain it the way that I was willing to maintain it, is what feminine's effectively saying to themselves as they immediately move forward right now into new energy to say, are you strong enough? This is literally feminine going to the new masculine energy and being like, are you strong enough to? Are you strong enough to maintain that in the wake of outside energy? Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now, between our Eight of Pentacles in its reversal in combination with our Justice card in its reversal. One card to clarify, please. Queen of Cups. Again, even for the feminine energy right now that's in separation, even that feeling of being at peace with something to a certain extent, it is a little bit of an act. We're seeing here. This is almost a moment right now where feminine is trying to open their heart space up as it relates to this. But the truth is, it wounded the feminine. It wounded the feminine energy. We see it here. Even the feminine energy in separation right now, we see here that this is a feminine energy, if in separation, that's leaving themselves open to love opportunities. Their door is effectively open, but they're being very conscientious about their own heart space. Because what's really happening here is this is something where this was a deep wound to the feminine. This is a feminine that's carrying a lot of pain around these circumstances and situations. This is something that feminine sees from the perspective of a deep injustice that occurred to the feminine. This is a feminine that's almost trying to amplify by trying to say, I'm keeping an open heart, but I was wronged. I'm keeping an open heart. I'm not going to let them take that open heart from me. But someone took something from me that was very valuable and very important. And the person that they took from me doesn't even realize that they were taken. For feminine energy in this modality, that is that bittersweet thing here, because this is a feminine almost articulating and trying to hold, like, keep their heart open in the face of something that feels like it was a grave injustice that occurred to them. And this is almost the feminine energy that is like forcing. What's beautiful about this right now for the feminine in separation, this is a feminine that's almost forcing and saying, I refuse to let them take my belief and love away from me just because someone could not hold strong in the face of outside opinions leading them away from me. Because that's almost the feminine saying, that doesn't say that anything was wrong about my love. That says that someone was not strong enough to be in divine union. They didn't have what it takes. And it's heartbreaking. This is feminine almost saying, it's not fair. But feminine almost saying, that's the way it is sometimes. I'm not going to let it change my own heart. I'm not going to let their injustice change my own heart space. The audacity of love is like the message right now for the feminine. The audacity to keep your heart space open in the face of injustice is, in a way, the feminine triumphing over the injustice in the first place. Masculine energy and separation right now, you could be having a feminine telling you the story. This could be a feminine energy being like, to a certain extent, to the masculine right now, like get comfortable. Let me tell you a story of what happened to me. Except the problem right now for the masculine energy and separation is there's something about that story that may feel like it strikes a little close to home. It may be feeling like something is striking a little bit close to home, and it may be showing you something about your own story that you did not see in that perspective. And it could be really amplifying right now, because it's almost that moment in hearing another feminine energy articulate something that effectively happened to you. And the worst part is potentially happening right now for a lot of the masculine in this modality is you can't tell the feminine energy that happened. You can't even articulate it, because that's like the weight of it is so much right now that it may be feeling like a real point of crisis. And maybe like you having a crisis point as someone tells you what happened to them and suddenly realizing that it happened to you too. You didn't even realize that you were traumatized in that way. It's like, oh my God, I was also traumatized in that way. I didn't see it like that when it was happening. And this is masculine, even in separation with feminine right now, mirroring the feminine, because this is almost a masculine looking at something the feminine is articulating to them and saying internally, if not externally to the feminine, me too. Me too. That happened to me too. Masculine and feminine coming into the divine union frequency right now. This is that moment that we're effectively seeing right now that is almost amplifying this feeling of feminine potentially articulating to masculine. This is almost feminine again. If coming into divine union right now, it may be feeling very triggering, because the reason that you're observing that this is happening is because it happened before. That this isn't the first time that there's been pressure put on a divine union at the moment that it was about to come into formation. This is almost feminine, again, almost being re-triggered as this is happening, which is why feminine's like, no, don't even talk to them. They know what they're doing. Because this is a feminine recalling past circumstances and situations that this happened. This is almost feminine being like, you don't need an explanation. I've seen this before. And masculine, this could be a moment that you are also trying to ascertain what happened, because this could be a moment that you yourself are suddenly realizing the reason that you're holding forth in this way is because you're recognizing now that something feels familiar because it happened once before to you. Maybe even more than once. It's building that sense of understanding and clarity, almost like why you now understand that there may be a feminine energy that holds you at such a distance because you're now seeing something in a way that you didn't see it before, because it's happening again. Masculine and feminine in divine union right now. This is that moment of observation and understanding around this desire to heal something right now. But again, that point of optics as it relates to some circumstances and situations in terms of wanting to extend an olive branch, having some point of deeper understanding, coming into a point of healing, but also recognizing that some energy might not want to open that door again. They might not want to heal. They may not want to have that point of healing as it relates to some kind of energy of partnerships, friendships, relationships that are not in a good place. And masculine and feminine almost guiding each other through that and coming to a point of recognizing that something about the energy that they're trying to heal towards right now is not in a space or place where they're willing to do so. And having that point of observation is potentially feeling like a bit of difficulty for masculine and feminine in that point of healing right now, because it's almost like feels like something that is unresolved, or that you have that sense of wanting to come into peace with, but feeling and recognizing that you can't necessarily just do that unless the energy associated with it also wants to come into that same modality of healing. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Justice card in its reversal, in combination with our Page of Pentacles, and in combination with our Knight of Cups in its reversal. May I please have one card to clarify? It's a lot of people. Wheel of Fortune. All right, that's good. Wheel of Fortune in its upright. Listen, how is masculine and feminine in divine union navigating that? Anything, again, this is masculine and feminine literally doing this is spiritual house cleaning right now for the energy in divine union. It's looking at anything that's connected to the masculine and feminine energy in divine union right now, trying to ascertain if it's in a good place or if it needs that point of healing, if there's something that can be brought forth to implement that healing in a better way. And there's this moment right now that masculine and feminine are helping themselves right now with any energy that they feel isn't at that point, in just basically saying it's not the right time. It's not the right time. But that's the benefit and value right now of the divine union frequency. It is having that level or degree of infinite patience, if you will. This is masculine and feminine energy almost looking at something not from a sake or desire that's something that won't be healed, but almost looking and saying to themselves or giving each other encouragement if in divine union, and saying maybe the time isn't right. When they're ready, they'll come towards us. When they're ready to heal, they know that our door is open. When they are ready to accept that level or degree of healing, they know that we are there. And until then, it's not our job to chase after them to make them come into that point of healing. We just need to continue to stay forward in this vibration and recognize that we feel like we've done everything we can and we're doing things the way we feel like we must. Masculine and feminine almost giving each other support, that again, it's not even like that point of doing it for the sake of the energy, but almost coming into that point of saying, we're doing this for each other. We're doing this because we know it's the right thing to do. We're doing this because this is almost a part of our own healing journey, is coming into something and not doing it for the sake of getting something back, doing it for the sake of feeling that weight of karmic healing and feeling like one did it for the sake of one's own heart. Masculine and feminine right now coming into divine union. This is that point of observation. This is looking right now and feeling like there's some energy surrounding the divine union right now that isn't necessarily very keen to the divine union having formed. A lot of this is like that diamond effect, feeling like the divine union just came into fruition due to the outside pressure, putting pressure on it. If the masculine and feminine survive that, it's like it fortified the divine union. In a way, this is the observation of that energy saying like, this is actually bringing us closer together. Whatever they thought they were doing is doing the opposite. It's almost a gift, because their pushing back on this has brought us together. Masculine and feminine in separation right now. This is feminine potentially regaling masculine of this story. This is feminine energy in separation, potentially telling other masculine energy that this occurred and articulating it in a way, shape, or form of effectively identifying and saying to the masculine, someone was taken from me. Someone's emotionality, I knew they cared about me, but they let that outside influence pull us apart. And it doesn't feel fair. And it's something the feminine almost continues to hold that sense of unfairness on. Feminine's articulating that to new masculine energy. Masculine energy and separation right now, you could be having that point of someone telling you a story that feels a little too familiar. It's almost giving you a point of insight. It's giving you an optics that's rubbing up against something, because it's giving you something that occurred to you that you may not necessarily have seen in that capacity before. And it's that point of clarity that, again, is resolving on your own sense of understanding of the self. But again, it may be feeling to a certain extent like it's coming at a high price because it feels like it cost you something that you didn't even realize you were losing at the time that it occurred. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Page of Pentacles in combination with our Knight of Cups, in combination with our Empress energy. May I please have one card to clarify? Beautiful. We like this. This is good. This is that silver lining. Silver linings here, guys. This is silver linings, okay? Masculine and feminine energy in divine union right now. This is that point of doing what you can do. You can only do what you can do. It's all about the gesture. It's about, again, almost having that touch point right now and feeling that sense of security and stability and saying, I've done everything I can do around some things. Especially if there's some energy surrounding the divine union that feels like it isn't necessarily super positive right now. This is that point of healing and being like, it's almost like happy holidays. And seeing if there's a response and being like, okay, if there isn't, that's fine. You know what I mean? It's like, is there a fence that can be mended here? It's all right. This is almost like, this is like Bob Cratchit energy. It's like coming through and being like, I'm not doing these. It's almost, again, I have to stress this for the energy right now in divine union. It's almost like saying to someone to a certain extent, like, I'm not doing this like out of like a motivation to get you to like, respond. I'm doing this because this is what I desire to do. The masculine and feminine energy almost just like going forward, like, and again, it's going to feel a little frustrating to some energy right now. It's almost like I have to articulate. This could be feeling right now if there's like energy in divine union going around to energy not in divine union. Like the energy not in divine union, like very grumpy about things. And masculine and feminine divine union being like, here's a gift basket. Here's some cookies. Like, and the energy just being like taking it, being like, because this is almost the masculine and feminine energy trying to amplify their own vibration to those around them right now. Because again, this is almost a moment of them saying like, we're happy. We're trying to share our joy. We're just trying to share our joy. Everybody is welcome in the joy circle. It's like whatever, like if you want to come into the sun, like the sun isn't stingy. Okay. The sun isn't stingy on where they cast their rays. The only thing you need to do if you want to be in the sun is step out of the shadow. And for the energy in divine union, effectively, that is like the message of the energy in divine union, trying to grace those around them, which is like, we're just going to keep shining this light. If you want to step into it, you're welcome. More the merrier. If you want to stay in the shadow of that tree, you can do that. That's okay. No pressure. But if you want, the sun's right here. We're going to be here. It's almost like masculine and feminine in that divine union frequency, just like shining their light around those around them to amplify the fact that says, whenever you're ready, it's here, Masculine and feminine coming into divine union. This is that moment that we're effectively seeing, which is, again, almost taking the negative and now guess what? You're alchemizing it into the positive, because this is literally masculine and feminine looking right now at any energy that's thumbing their nose or casting doubt on the divine union forming and almost laughing at it and saying, it's really funny because they were trying to tear us apart, but they just drove us together. They just poured concrete on this bad boy. This is feminine being like, this is almost feminine wanting to send a gift basket right now to anyone that was trying to poo-poo the divine union forming, because it almost reaffirmed, if this is a masculine that held forth in this is feminine being like, I should send them a box of chocolates because they just took something that was a maybe and made it an absolutely. Masculine may be feeling the same. This is masculine almost like, again, in that vibration and being like, no, they just... like there's no question here. They challenged my own commitment to creating the divine union, but this is a masculine holding firm in it, being like, did I stutter? No, this is what I want. So again, this is almost a positive that's coming immediately from the negative, because this is a masculine that's effectively identifying and articulating and saying, I'm not going to let someone else take my joy from me. I'm not going to let them rob them. This is masculine and feminine coming into divine union, saying we're not going to let someone else affirm or destroy which is a very happy moment for these energies, regardless of the outside opinions. Feminine energy right now, if in separation, this is feminine energy telling others this story. This is feminine energy opening themselves up to new romantic connections and possibilities, trying to maintain a positive vibration on it. And again, almost allowing this to be a moment of entry and access to help share their own story with masculine energy that they're now looking to potentially build new experiences with by amplifying and saying, yeah, there was someone I cared about a great deal. My care for them never eroded or evaded, but ultimately they showed me that their care and love for me was fickle. It was not strong enough. It could not survive any point of crisis. In fact, the minute any type of crisis arrived, that energy departed. They were not strong enough. Their own emotionality could not survive the slings and arrows of day-to-day life and day-to-day crises. They were not strong enough in their motivation and their conviction on what it is that they were coming forward with. They were not consistent. Masculine, you may be experiencing this right now in terms of new energy approaching to feminine. And this is, again, either masculine energy articulating this to a feminine and saying, I see this about myself now, or masculine energy. This is you hearing this story from a feminine right now, a new feminine energy, and feeling like something feels very close to home. Feeling that point of observation in terms of feeling like the feminine's almost describing something that potentially happened to you and recognizing something about your old self in the story she's telling, but almost feeling that point of vindication at this time if this is occurring, because this is almost, again, a moment that you are seeing something about yourself that you now feel you have the conviction and ability to change. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now. Between our Queen of Cups in its reversal, in combination with our Wheel of Fortune. May I please have one card to clarify? We like this in its reversal. We've got here our Fool card in its reversal, and we love to see this card in this position right now because this is, again, these are new journeys and new possibilities opening up, but informed on past experiences. This is, again, this is not feminine energy that's moving forward right now with this is a feminine energy that is almost forcing their heart space open, even in the state or space of situations and circumstances from the past that almost challenge them to close their heart off. This is a feminine energy that's fighting that same desire to shut down their heart space, almost saying in spite. This is almost feminine being I doubt, I refuse. This is feminine almost moving into that state and saying the worst thing, there was a great injustice that was done here, but the greatest injustice would be if I lost my own sense of love. This is feminine almost saying, absolutely not. I'm not going to let them take that from me. This is feminine energy almost saying, I'm going to learn from that experience and allow this to guide me going forward, older, wiser, more carefully. And this is the feminine saying, I'm being careful about it, but I'm leaving myself open to new possibilities, because this is the feminine that got so close to divine union, they could taste it. It was right there, and it was lost and taken from them at the last moment. Feminine's own optics on it is helping them amplify and say, I'm utilizing that as a lesson that I'm taking immediately and driving forward on, because what can happen once can happen again. Because this is a feminine that's not doubting their own powers in manifesting it. It's the feminine recognizing and feeling like the energy they were trying to manifest it with wasn't ready for the manifestation. Masculine and feminine that are moving into masculine in separation right now. This is that moment of observation that, again, something that you are learning from the feminine right now is giving you a better understanding of your own karmic cycle. And it is that point of observation that may feel somewhat like a point of crisis, because you're seeing something from a perception that you didn't necessarily see at the time that it was occurring. But that is also giving you that sense of understanding and optics that is helping you learn more about yourself as you proceed forward on this path, that is going to allow you to correct for your own mistakes or lessons and let that be a learning experience. But again, it feels like it came at a high cost potentially, because we see here it's almost a lesson that was learned in relation and as a result of a feminine closing off emotionally to you in the process. And this is either a masculine going back to try to make amends to that energy, or utilizing that as that deep lesson going forward to help guide your own path. Masculine and feminine coming into divine union right now. This is, again, that feeling of the outside energy not necessarily being as completely on board of the divine union happening. But again, feminine and masculine are in the same modality here. It's that point of optics. Feminine is almost saying to a certain extent, I've seen this before. Feminine's helping the masculine on this because masculine's seeing this for the first time. This is a feminine energy that feels like they've seen this many times. This is a masculine energy of coming into divine union that feels like it's like their eyes are open. They're seeing it for the first time. And feminine's like, no, this always happens. But again, it is that point of optics that is amplifying the fact that this is the divine union that's coming forward right now, because this isn't a moment that they got torn apart by it. It's something that united them. It drove them closer together. Masculine and feminine, again, coming into, that's already in the divine union frequency. This is that moment that we're effectively seeing that, again, you're doing your part. You're doing these things right now, not to get or generate some kind of response from the energy that you're trying to heal for. You're doing it for your own sense. Masculine and feminine right now are having different opinions on this right now as it relates to anything that feels like it is in that point of emotional stagnation. Feminine is a lot more reserved about addressing it. Feminine's almost like, let's not open that box. If they want to come towards us to heal something, they know where to find us. Masculine is feeling a lot more cavalier and wanting to take more direct approaches in terms of healing something right now. Because masculine is almost like wanting to take that emotional lesson. Like I told you, this is feeling a lot for the masculine in divine union right now. Being like, I've got all this love. I need to do something with it. My love is a hammer and I want to find a nail to hit it with, right? This is masculine, like immediately wanting to take some point of activity in the abundance of emotional like balance that they're feeling. They want to mend a fence with it. They want to fix something. They want to heal something. They need to utilize, they need to make the love functional, if you will. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Wheel of Fortune in combination with our Sun card, which we love to see right now. One card to clarify. Clarification coming through right now with our Page of Cups. So again, I'm laughing. The only reason I'm laughing right now is because for anyone not in divine union, this is going to feel, I just got to straight up say, it's going to feel annoying. It might feel annoying. It might feel annoying. I'm like stressing this. The divine union's energy right now, if you're like in a Scroogey energy, it's not going to be like the kind of energy that you want around you right now, because it's almost this like the divine union is all about just like allowing that sense of love and positivity to radiate out over things right now. It's like literally that like moment that we're seeing that it's just like this, like, it's feeling a lot like that vibration of like, just like, you know, like just having that, like, this is like a vibe check, if you will, that the divine union energy is doing to a certain extent. And what's interesting about it is, again, it doesn't feel like it's forceful. It's more feeling like what did I say? The way I keep describing it is like, would you like a hug? You sure you don't want a hug? You sure you don't want a hug? You know, like, and the energy around the union being like, I don't want to hug. Are you sure though? Maybe you'd feel better with a hug. You know, it's like feeling like that, like the ray of the sun coming towards you to a certain extent. And like, you can't dodge the sun. You got to like go into the shade. The only way to avoid it is to like avoid it to a certain extent. Because this is almost a masculine and feminine energy in divine union right now. Bearing in mind, this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. Almost saying like, you know, this is not a state or space that they're inhabiting for any kind of agenda. It's almost like this moment that they're just enjoying it. Masculine and feminine are enjoying the vibration of being in divine union. And it's like sharing that desire to share that positivity, if you will, almost feels rather contagious. Now, masculine and feminine coming into the divine union right now, this is that moment that we are effectively seeing that, again, it really amplifies and articulates the difference in opinion right now as it relates to how to address some of the energy around the partnership that may have been having something that feels more like a point of pushing that pressure point on the divine union. Masculine is almost trying to take more of a cavalier attitude towards it, almost like having this point and recognizing and desiring. This is that mending bridges thing, almost trying to say to the feminine, I'm sure they didn't mean anything by it. I'm sure they didn't mean it in a negative way. I'm sure it was just something that they said. But again, almost masculine, having that point of recognition that the reason that the energy didn't necessarily want you to come into divine union is because you're less fun that way. You're less fun when you're in divine union. The problem with masculine is almost like masculine coming into divine union being like, I get that, I'm a pretty fun person. Feminine being like, I don't get it as much. I don't like the fact that the energy around you was looking at you in that modality, was seeing you as like moving in that functionality or purpose and only having to stay in that vibration. Masculine's looking at it more harmlessly right now than feminine is. Feminine is almost like taking the note, if you will, if there was energy around them that was trying to like cast doubt on the divine union. Feminine's like almost looking at masculine and being like, masculine's going, I don't take it that seriously, I'm kind of flattered. And feminine's being like, I'm glad you're flattered because I'm not. I'm taking it more as a note, right? Masculine and feminine that are in separation, this is that moment of observation. Feminine is leaving themselves open right now, if in separation, to new opportunities, new possibilities with new masculine energy. We are seeing this as that point. The feminines open up and entertaining that possibility here. Because again, feminine is feeling the power in terms of coming into almost having a divine union form and recognizing and feeling like what they've done once, they can do again. Feminine's almost saying, this was not a failure on the feminine's part. Feminine's recognizing this as such, as something that was taken from them. And this is feminine, again, almost taking this modality of allowing oneself to trust in the cycle of faith and allowing that cycle of fate to guide them forward right now by maintaining a point of positivity and allowing this to be a point that they're allowing that vibration of easement to come in. They're allowing energy to effectively woo them, if you will, because this is a feminine energy that feels like, to a certain extent, they've cleared a karmic cycle by recognizing these aspects and these lessons that are helping them leave some of this energy in the past as they move forward in this way. Masculine energy in this modality right now, what we're effectively seeing for the masculine energy in separation is you are also potentially, again, either moving towards feminine or new feminine energy with this deeper understanding. And one of the things that we're potentially seeing right now that is very interesting is masculine. If you are learning this about yourself through communication with feminine right now, you're potentially trying to downplay it. You're potentially trying to downplay that this is something that feels like it is an incredible, moment of understanding for yourself, and you're almost like trying to take it jovially, but really it feels like something that is creating also a moment of a closure of a cycle point for you, because it's that point of personal understanding. For the masculine, one of the hardest things potentially about embodying this right now is if a feminine's articulating this to you, is trying to play cool as it happens, because what you're almost feeling this point of deeper understanding that is coming in a moment of some kind of casual conversation, if you will. It's almost this moment that you're like, taking a sip of your drink and being like, oh my God, as you realize that this is something that is effectively happening and you're kind of seeing it and you're being like, oh dear Lord, I get what happened now in a way that I didn't get it before. Final card for today's spread between our Fool card in its reversal in combination with our Page of Cups. May I please get one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with our Ace of Wands. We love to see it. Amazing. All of this communication happening on the heels of the Mercury retrograde. But this is good. This is really positive. This says today is a day about amplifying creativity, communication, grounding those passions, masculine and feminine in divine union. This is effectively just feeling very productive. This is taking, like I said, the divine union itself is allowing a level or degree of taking new approaches to circumstances and situations that you may not necessarily have been ready to in the past. Masculine is ready to open up in a way, almost like clearing any of these grudges that you may have been feeling, almost wanting to come through again, like almost like passing that peace pipe, if you will, trying to heal anything that you feel needs that point of mending, because you're in this positive vibration that is brought on by being in this modality where you feel like it is safe to express your emotions in an emotionally supportive relationship. Now, feminine is looking at things a little bit more reserved right now, but again, feeling that point of abundance that's almost related to a lot of energy coming towards, thank you for the gift, towards the feminine right now, and being just very discerning about what the intentionality is of any of the energy approaching the feminine from a point of divine union, because feminine is trying to employ the healthy boundaries that they've learned from being in a supportive, healthy relationship with the masculine energy, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. Masculine and feminine coming into divine union right now, this is that point of observation in terms of the optics in something that has occurred that you are both navigating differently. It's not the fact that there hasn't been some pressure that has been put on the formation of the divine union that is now being addressed. It's more observing it and deciding whether that energy meant it in a harmless way that can be healed, or if someone had something more deeper or intrinsic that they were trying to do in anything that they feel was potentially trying to pull the divine union apart at this time. For masculine and feminine, this is potentially causing a little bit of friction if the divine union's forming, because it may be a difference of opinion on how to approach that situation and circumstance. Masculine potentially seeing it as more harmless, feminine not necessarily seeing it as harmless. Feminine potentially seeing it more as a note that they are not going to forget about. This is almost the feminine energy of coming into divine union, being like, sure, that was harmless. I'm sure they didn't mean anything by that. I'm sure they just, were kidding around. And feminine almost rolling it into the Rolodex, putting it in the filing cabinet and being like, I'm going to remember that energy did that. Masculine and feminine in separation right now. This is feminine leaving themselves open to new passionate experiences, new opportunities. Feminine energy in separation. If you've just come into separation, doesn't really matter. Feminine's clearing this cycle like toot sweet. Feminine's just like, no, I'm not dwelling on this. This is not, because feminine is looking and being like, this is something that feminine feels like they can't fix, something that was taken from them. Feminine's like not wasting any time. Feminine's almost immediately getting back up, moving back into that vibration of leaving themselves open to new offers, because this is a feminine that's like, I got so close to a divine union. This is a feminine almost saying to themselves, I didn't mess this up. Someone messed it up for me. I'm just going to continue forward, because this is something that once I've done once, I know I can do again. Feminine's not like letting this disrupt their own direction, because this is feminine that is committed into coming into the divine union frequency. Masculine energy in separation right now. Bing! You're getting a little bit of insight. Something is becoming clear to you that you potentially did not see in the way that you did before. That point of understanding is feeling like someone bonking you on the head a little bit with this like wand of understanding, like boop, like and suddenly you're seeing something from a different perspective. And it is helping you, though it is giving you some optics on something that may be making you feel a little foolish. It may be making you feel a little bit like a fool right now, because there's something about it that you realize that you didn't see it when it was happening, but now you do. But the benefit is seeing how you were foolish in the past is the first point in hoping that you don't move forward in that same level or degree of foolishness. Lessons come in different ways. And for some of the masculine energy right now in separation, this is kind of being bonked in the head by someone, carelessly or casually saying something to you that's really like immediately you're like not even blinking, but you're having like this whole like curtain that opens up on something that you didn't necessarily see in the way that you could have seen it at the time that it was occurring. Bottom of the deck on this reading right now is Knight of Swords in its reversal. Masculine and feminine energy in divine union right now. Like I said, masculine wants to heal some stuff right now. Masculine wants to play doctor in like an emotional, spiritual way on some situations and circumstances right now, due to the fact that masculine's in this modality of open emotionality that they learned from the feminine. Masculine realizes that there's a limitation on how far they can take that. It all depends on the energy around a circumstance or situation. The problem here has to do with the fact that some of the masculine realizes that some of the masculine energy around them isn't in that vibration. They're moving more from a point of fear. And energy moving in a point of fear has a really hard time accepting love. Masculine's almost in that modality. Masculine's almost seeing other masculines in this modality right now and being like, I can't bring them out of that. Like I said, if someone wants to stay in the shade, masculine is recognizing to a certain extent that they're powerless to bring them out of it. Someone has to make the choice to like meet the masculine in that vibration. Feminine is experiencing this more from having some lessons from what can happen with masculine energy being in a point of fear. Feminine is holding boundaries right now in divine union because feminine isn't looking at this so much as something that feels like it is less of a concern. Feminine's actually had experiences in feeling the full weight of a masculine that isn't able to maintain integrity or consistency due to fear. Feminine, again, both in the energy of being in deep in the heart of the divine union vibration or just coming into it. Feminine energy is almost looking at a masculine and being like, I don't think you're like, I don't want to, like, this is feminine being like, I don't want to poke a bear. I don't want to come into something. You know, masculine's almost like, I want to go head into the heart of this. I want to heal all this stuff that's not healed. Feminine's being like, don't be too hasty. There could be a reactivity point. There could be an energy in terms of not necessarily, like, sometimes the choice of not accepting love and empathy isn't just that moment of someone saying no thanks. It could almost lead, feminine's almost in that modality saying, it could lead to reactivity. It could lead to something more. And that's why we even see for the energy right now that's coming into divine union, this is masculine going, I'm sure it was harmless. And feminine almost saying to masculine, I've yet to see masculine energy that was ever truly harmless. Masculine and feminine that are in separation right now. This is what we're effectively seeing. This is feminine energy looking, even as the feminine is leaving themselves open to new possibilities, new experiences of masculine coming towards them. Feminine is being very conscientious as to whether that energy feels like it is fickle, whether it feels like it is not necessarily coming through as consistently as possible right now, because feminine has effectively had it right now with energy that isn't able to show a level or degree of consistency in what they're offering. And this is a feminine energy that's effectively like almost leaving themselves open to new possibilities, but not chasing after any masculine energy that feels like it's there and then it's gone again. This is feminine energy saying the one thing that the feminine does not tolerate right now, has no patience for, because the feminine literally feels like this is exactly why they lost the possibility of a divine union before, is masculine energy that is inconsistent with their desire, is inconsistent with their determination, that cannot stay on their own path of determination as it relates to what they articulate they want versus what they actually do. This is a feminine energy saying, if you're going to be in that modality, this is a feminine separation that's saying you can stay that way. Because the feminine is not looking for energy in that modality, nor are they willing. It's like the only thing the feminine's going to kind of close their door on right now is energy that shows that it cannot stay consistent or is fickle in its communication or its connectivity or its communication. Masculine in separation right now, this is a point of observing where you might have been like that. This is something that may be being related to you even by energy around you right now of feminine, that you're seeing yourself from an optics that you didn't necessarily see before. And it's feeling like a bit of a revelation. It's feeling like a bit of an understanding of the self that may feel somewhat overwhelming, because it's almost that moment of seeing an aspect of yourself in a way that you didn't see it before. And even potentially being like, wow, that sounds like it was awful. But something that someone's telling you being like, I've done that. That's exactly what happened. That is our daily collective read for today. I'd like to thank you guys so much for being here and experiencing it. Just a reminder, if you would like to book a private reading with me, you can book one on my website, graystrega.com. My private readings are done over video, and if you are a subscriber to my TikTok, you can take 10% off any of my services when you pay. Just mention your subscriber name at the point of payment. Please keep in mind, if you book a private reading with me, it is a 2-step process. You have to book the reading, you have to pay for the reading. Please make sure you do both if you would like to have that reading with me. Most importantly, please remember, I will never, ever, 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 ever reach out to you for a private reading. I'm never going to PM you. I'm never going to DM you. I'm never going to slide into your inbox and tell you that I have a very important message that only I can deliver. The only way you can book a reading with me is if you book one on my website. So I encourage you to do it there. I want to thank you so much for being here with me today and sharing with me in these readings. And we will do this again